Good Sunday morning, ladies and gentlemen, or afternoon, depending on where you are at. Welcome to Cheap Seat Booking. I am Matt, coming to you from just south of Vancouver on the Canadian side of the border. And we are going to sit here. We're going to discuss some 2025 goings on so far. I know it's been a little while since we've done one of these, but we're getting back to it. It's been hectic. What can I say? January is a little bit brutal for me as far as scheduling goes. However, I do have some solid friends that love tagging in to talk some wrestling. So, first entering the studio from the great state of Pennsylvania, hoping for a freaking Birds victory today, weighing in at 60 cheesesteaks, we have Alex. What's going on, buddy?
How's everybody doing?
Well, I'm hoping we're good. We're going to see some numbers start ticking up here shortly. Don't forget to tag in on the comments, ladies and gentlemen, while you do that. And joining us as well, one of our other regulars. This trio has done so many shows together. Our co-host, our pal from this great state of New York, currently residing in the wonderful green state of Washington, weighing in at 300 salmon fillets. Jason is joining us, and unfortunately, he is rocking Steelers gear, which just did not work out well for him recently.
Yes, I'm very surly.
I don't follow football, and if I did, I'd have to be a BC Lions fan, and quite frankly, CFL just does not have the marketing. So what can you do? Gentlemen, 2025 has been wild so far. We are 12 days into it. We are 19 days away from the three of us tilting a few and watching some wrestling on the Caribbean Ocean as we say goodbye to Miami. We will get into that in the next couple of weeks as well. I plan on doing another show right before we leave. I literally plan on doing one on the 26th of January. So come back in 2 weeks for sure. We're going to do a cruise preview. And if anybody out there would like to get in on that, don't forget to drop a line to Cheap Seat Booking or At the Inn on Facebook. Either page will do. Gentlemen, 2025 was wild. We kicked off with the big deal, Raw on Netflix. Did either of you guys check this out down there in the States?
I heard about it.
I watched it.
Yeah, I watched it.
Yeah. So what do you guys think of the show in general? We will get to one specific point, which I think was the shocker. But in general, how do you think it went?
I don't really watch Raw too much, so I tuned in because it was the first Netflix one, and it felt like Raw being held in Saudi Arabia. Like everything was just, let's give Netflix what they want, what they signed up for, and what the contract says, and cross our T's, dot our I's, and make everybody happy on the background.
I mean, that's a pretty fair assessment, and I can definitely see the business sense to that. As you make them happy out the gate, and then go do what you want. Jason, what'd you think?
Well, I mean, I'll kind of take an opposite view from Alex. I did enjoy the show. It's what I expected. They're going to pull out all the stops. It felt definitely more like a special event than just a regular Monday Night Raw. So bringing back some of the older stars was a nice little touch. Again, kind of what I expected. But, again, we're in a new era of WWE. They're owned by TKO. They're in the money making business. They are not necessarily in the hardcore fan business. So I get it. If you go in with your expectations kind of in that way, I think you'll enjoy it more. If you go in as a hardcore fan, I don't think you'll enjoy it as much. But again, I sat back, I watched it, I enjoyed it.
I can't disagree. For me, it was a lot about who was in the building, and it was cool to see some of these celebrity fans. We got Kevin McAllister in there. We had Topanga in there. I think one of the highlights, Corey Grave is a goddamn genius. I just got to say this. He is so quick, because I can't remember who they were showing on camera, but about 4 seats back and 1 row behind was Gabriel Fluffy Iglesias. And as they pulled away from the shot, Corey's like, somebody get that bald guy into the ring. And that was exactly what it was. And then we saw Fluffy in a fluffy as fuck outfit with the Raw and Netflix logos all over him. And then we went into, the matches were kind of paint by numbers. Honestly, there wasn't a whole lot of surprises there. I was not a fan of the main event, but I am not a fan of one of those guys. And seeing him pull the victory just kind of bothered me. However, I can also see it's the start of a storyline, and it's one of those probably childhood dreams for a young fan to go, you know what, I got in the ring with this dude, and I know there's 217 lights on the ceiling now, so that's cool. I mean, none of the matches were bad. Undertaker came out. I'm a big mark for the Taker. We know this. I was a little disturbed this last fall, but I'm not going to hold political alliances against him because honestly, yeah, I knew it. The American badass and the Australian badass, that was cool. Getting that Undertaker endorsement. What about we'll get to the Hogan thing shortly. What do you guys think, all the celebrities in attendance, and how did you feel that it's a typical Raw outside of the ring versus inside of the ring balance? What do you guys think of that? Jason, kick us off.
Yeah, I mean, they have to do things like that. I mean, how much did Netflix pay to have Raw on their streaming service? So, it's all, you're going to break out all the stops, and I wasn't surprised. Again, I went in with those expectations. I knew pretty much what was going to happen as far as, the glitz and glam and the Hollywood, and it's what I expected. So, as a hardcore fan, do I like it? No, of course not. But it's what I expected. So they have to do it.
Yeah, I mean, it felt like every Raw that was in LA all the time, like through the ages I've remembered, is like, oh, they're in LA, cool. We're gonna start the show with the stars are out tonight at the stadium, blah blah blah, and just cut to 6 famous faces that we haven't seen in like the last 5 years or whatever. But it was, like you said, man, it was paint by numbers. Honestly, like the first like segment of that screen and the montage moment, that was cool. You know, the curtain dropping and Triple H being in the center of the ring, that was cool. And then the final boss came out.
Why?
Right? Because he's on the board of directors and he wanted to. That's why.
I mean, he did the NXT thing, and they were both giant Y segments. Like everything he did, he's a huge draw. It's just absolutely nothing to forward any storyline.
Wait a
Jason,
minute,
you got your hands up.
Because he wasn't there to forward any storyline. He's one of the biggest movie stars in the world, and he's on Netflix and ratings. And I don't know if you saw the ratings for NXT, but it was almost 1 million for the show, which is like 400,000 more than they normally get, or 300,000 more. So again, I mean, they're going to pull out all the stops. It is what it is. This is big business. TKO is in the money business. And what's up, Jamal?
Yo.
And that's what it is.
Yeah, and that's pretty much what it is. I tuned into the Netflix thing. I want to get to. I have some questions about your American feeds on this. As we know, I have this little invisible line. Jason is almost closer to me over the border than work. But there's this little invisible line that we all know happens, and it causes a bunch of chaos. Technically, Canada is international, according to Netflix. We'll get to that in just a minute. But I tuned in to NXT to see what was going on, because The Rock's oldest daughter is the GM. I thought, okay, cool. We might have a cool little fun segment. We got fuck all. And then he went out there. I don't know how many bottles of tequila he drank between Monday and Tuesday, because we know he was drinking one when he hopped in his truck and left Raw, and which we're endorsing that now. Cool. But like, there was, what the fuck was that promo at the end of NXT? What the fuck was that?
Ratings.
I'm just gonna come out and run my mouth.
Just ratings. They promote it. What is he going to do? He's not there to advance any storyline. He did his little interaction with his daughter. They kept it like on the hush hush. They didn't mention that that was his daughter. And then he cut a promo off the cuff. I mean, again, ratings for the CW. It's what it's about. That's it.
No, you're 100% correct. It's just
It's the business. You have to, I'm a hardcore fan. I've been a fan for a very, very long time. I've
oh
seen
yeah,
it
like back to the Gotch
back to
days,
the
right?
Stone Age, yeah, like the carnivals. But what I'm saying is, like, I've been to a WWF event in high school gyms. I've seen the growth, and it's what I know as being a fan of the. I go back to the WWF, but it's just the evolution of the business. It is what it is, and you have to accept it. And now they're owned by they're owned by a different company. They're not the WWE. They're owned by TKO. So it is
Mhm.
what it is. So you have to. You could be a disgruntled fan, like I am sometimes. I'm not gonna lie. There's some things
Oh,
that
I
just
think we all get there. I think we all have
yeah.
our moments.
But you have to also say, hey, this is what it's going to be. So I can go in with a positive attitude saying, hey, I'm going to just sit back. I know what I'm going to expect and enjoy the matches, enjoy the stories, and take it for what it's worth. But it's the evolution of the business. I know
I
you
don't like
disagree,
it.
Alex, but
I
you
don't like
know,
it.
it is what it is. I mean, but the great thing is about wrestling, you don't have to be a WWE fan. You could watch AEW or TNA, or I
Mhm.
watch WoW. There's AAA I get on DirecTV, and MLW. I mean, there's so much out there that you don't have to be a disgruntled fan. You could watch Raw for what it's worth. And then, hey, AEW is my favorite. I'll go watch that and,
Mhm.
check in on Raw and blah, blah, blah. So, you know, it is what it is. It's not going to change. It's going to get worse. I mean, it is
You know
what
what?
it is.
I think the thing with The Rock in these two shows is we are expecting The Rock to have a big impact on a major top tier storyline in the bloodline. And he's now made 2 appearances within 24 hours of each other, and they just ignored it. And we're all sitting here going, but we all know it's coming. We all know it's coming. And he did those 2 appearances and they gave us fucking nothing.
They gave us the opposite of nothing. He's actually like closed off all of these loose ends and everything. Like he acknowledged Cody Rhodes all of a sudden. They're best buddies. They had a drink
Yeah.
in the parking lot together. He
Yeah.
acknowledged
Exactly
Roman
what Jamal
Reigns.
I
just
hated
said.
it. I
Yeah.
hated it.
And he's just
Yeah.
like, you know what? I'm not beefing with anybody. I just work here. Bye, everyone.
Yeah, that's Jamal. So they're friends now. I'm like, right? Like we're waiting for this storyline. We've been waiting for months for this storyline to start developing for WrestleMania. We're all expecting Rock and Roman. And to a degree, I'm like, yeah, let's make us wait a little bit. But we're getting down to the wire here. Like we need something to develop for Mania.
I don't think it's
We
happening.
expected it at Survivor Series. We didn't get it. We expected it last Monday. We didn't get it.
I
We
think I
didn't
read
get
somewhere that
anything
he's got
Tuesday where it
some.
could have been, yeah. So the Bloodline's in charge of NXT, and Ava is admitted to, but which Bloodline? Which Bloodline would she be a part of? It's just like the Bloodline's in charge of NXT. Were you Roman's Bloodline? Are you with Solo and the Tongans? Like, as soon as you mention another man's mom and his dog, we fighting. Absolutely. Like, you know what? Yeah, those are the 2 things. Don't be trashing on my pets. That'll cause a fight on site. I can call them fat lazy cats all I want. You call them a fat lazy cat, we gonna have a problem. And God forbid, pun intended, you start knocking on Pastor Mom. Right? Like, that's all there is to it. Now, here's my big thing on the surprise of the night, it was I fully got up, left the room to make food when I heard Real American hit. And I came back because it was not the reaction I expected him to get. I was at WrestleMania 18 all day long in the cold Toronto March weather. There were people running around outside cosplaying as Hulk Hogan. And I mean, tearaway shirts, no sleeves, tights, the whole deal. This man has gotten a reaction for decades. Holy shit, did he get booed out of the building? Thoughts, boys?
Yeah, I'd like to start if you don't mind.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, so again, I'm very familiar with Hulk Hogan. Getting the when he was in the AWA, excuse me, I used to get all the wrestling magazines, so I knew about the different territories. He used to be in the magazines all the time, getting big cheers, going against Nick Bockwinkel, getting screwed out of the title somehow. This is pre-Hulkamania. I remember watching the match with Bob Backlund against one of the Wild Samoans, and then Hulk Hogan came in for the save. I remember watching that. I'm like, it's going to be a huge deal. I remember when he was on Johnny Carson. I remember when he was on Sports Illustrated, the cover of Sports Illustrated magazine. Huge deals for wrestling. Huge deals for wrestling. Going mainstream. But he was never authentic. He said, say your prayers, eat your vitamins, blah, blah, blah. But he was doing steroids. He had a
Well,
chance.
I mean,
Well, let me finish.
there was a point where I just went, oh, okay, I know what you mean by vitamins here. Cool.
Yeah, well, he went on Arsenio Hall, and Arsenio Hall asked him directly, have you taken steroids? And he gave a shit answer. I mean, that was a good opportunity to be honest. One of the things that Hogan's never been honest about. Going through, this doesn't work for me, brother, times, and, putting himself over, always putting himself over. It's always about Hulk Hogan. It's not putting the other talent over. That happens on very, very rare occasions where I actually do something like that. Then the sex tape comes out using the N-word, not taking responsibility for what he said, making apologies, doing the right thing. Then he goes on, promoting his beer, and I forgot what sexist comment he made. But he made a sexist comment. This was probably about a year ago. Then, going on the Republican National Convention, endorsing Trump, which is the least of why he got booed, in my opinion.
Oh, absolutely. I mean,
he's a fugazi. He's always been a phony. I've never liked him. I've always been a Rowdy Piper fan, and now the truth finally comes out. He is what he is. He was on Raw to promote a beer. He wasn't there to put any talent over, to do anything to help the product. It was about him. It's always been about him. He's a selfish MFer. I've never liked him, and I'm finally glad that people are seeing him for what he's worth. And
I in the pre-show I mentioned we might have red ass Jason, and holy shit, yes we do. I love it. Alex, you got some thoughts on this before I get to my own?
I mean, I'm gonna, add the cherry on top, and I'm gonna say that him being at the Trump rally was the biggest reason, because we were in a very democratic place in Los Angeles, and pretty much the public enemy enters the stage, and they're gonna boo you based on all the things that he stands for as a person, based on his racism, based on his sexism, based on all of his views. He heard it.
I'll disagree, and I'll tell you this:
Right.
Kane's a huge Republican.
He
supports Trump. Would he get booed? Probably not.
We haven't seen him in a while. You never know.
Okay, Undertaker had Trump on his podcast. Undertaker, he
didn't say nothing.
Did he get any boos because of it? So that's where I disagree with Alex. I'm not saying I'm saying it was the minute part of why he got booed. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, I see Alex's point, because you gotta take into consideration that audience is a blue state. And let's be honest, that whole state has gone through a fucking nightmare since that segment.
Wait a minute. There are celebrities in the crowd. Are they going to boo Hogan? There's wrestling fans in the arena. Are wrestling fans, most of them, let's be honest with each other, are they like hardcore liberals or hardcore Republicans? Probably not. They're probably moderate down the middle in somewhere. But
Yeah.
again, it's Hulk Hogan he's always been about him. He's
Hmm.
never atoned for his sins. He's never taken responsibility for what he's done. He never apologized for what he done on a decent level. And I think the fans, he's not authentic. He is not an authentic person. Terry Bollea is not an authentic person. He played a character. His character was Hulk Hogan, and that's what it's all about. We hate the character. We're sick of the character. It's time to go away. And Terry Bollea is
Hmm.
not a good person, and he's proved it time after time.
Yeah, and I wonder if Terry Bollea even knows what Terry Bollea is at this point.
Probably not.
Let's see here. So Gemma is all over Jason's side on this. Maybe it was Hogan who started the fire. They're gonna boo me. That doesn't work for me, brother. Well, you know what? Like, as far as conspiracy theories goes, that is more likely than space lasers burning down Hawaii, in my opinion. I consider myself, and I have for oh god, almost 30 years, a recovering Hulkamaniac. Um, I got swept up in Hulkamania with the cartoons, and he was everywhere, and he was on the A team, and that's how I discovered wrestling right before WrestleMania 1. It was a few years before I realized I could predict, like when Transformers and GI Joe, it was on the TV, and by about 91, 92, sometime between that WrestleMania with Sergeant Slaughter and the WrestleMania with Sid, so sometime between 7 and 8, it occurred to me that when my friends and I are, and I'm not endorsing it, trying this at home, we weren't fighting over who got to be Hulk Hogan. We weren't fighting over which LJN giant rubber concussion machine it was Hulk Hogan. We were fighting over Bret Hart. We were fighting over Tita Santana. We were fighting over JYD. We were fighting over the Dynamite Kid. And I realized, like, I'm not talking about Hogan's match. I'm talking about the Hart Foundation match. I'm talking about the Rockers match. I'm talking about the Randy Savage match. And that's when I realized that main event that's selling the tickets, and he sold tickets. I'll give him credit. He sold tickets. But it was the undercard. It was WWE was doing what WCW did way before then. It's like they had a garbage match on top, and the undercard kept people in their seats until then. Hogan may have put asses in the seats, but unless you had a spectacle like him picking up Andre or facing off with the Warrior or the Rock, nobody gave a rat's ass the next day. They were talking everybody else. They were talking about Piper's segment. They were talking about what Brett did. They were talking about Shawn flying through the air.
I mean,
And
Hogan was for the kids.
yeah, he got me. I was a kid then.
But then when you grew up, you got out of it.
Yeah, and so Jeff seems to be echoing my statement here too, is when we start realizing I'm not fighting over the Hogan LJN. I'm not worried about who's picking Hogan on the video game. We're brawling over other people. We're talking more about the undercard. So yeah, I think he finally got what he absolutely deserved. He's a long track record of being a shitty human being. I think there is one particular person at the top of the WWE card that main evented Raw needs to pay very close attention, because the shitty human being does come out. Some people see it a lot quicker than others, but at this point, he walked out there. You know who I really felt bad for in that segment? Jimmy Hart.
Mm-hmm.
Like, poor Jimmy came out there waving the flag, going, "Oh shit!"
We're in the wrong part of town, baby.
Yeah, right. I'm going back. I'm going back to Jimmy Hart's thing on the beach, and we just no glass cans and beer and cans, not on the beach. No glass on the beach. Beer and cans. Just Jimmy Hart's. I can't remember the name of his restaurant down there, and I think he's in Clearwater. But yeah, I mean, and it seems to be echoing. I'm looking at all these statements coming through. Jamal, Jeff, Gemma over in the UK. We all see it. It's happened.
Well, and I mean, how about being a liar? I mean, he's going
Oh yeah.
to. He said, didn't he say he was offered the lead role in the movie The Wrestler? Didn't he say he was going to play bass for Metallica? I mean, all the
Mm-hmm.
bullshit. I mean, that's just off the top of my head. all the bullshit he's been spewing these
Yeah.
past godforsaken years is just finally
Mhm.
I'm so like, again, I've always been a Piper fan. Always. I've
Yeah.
never been a Hogan fan. So just like I saw him for what he was at the, back in the day, and I'm just finally glad you Hulkamaniacs are finally realizing what a POS this guy is, a
And
Fugazi.
and let's be honest with that Piper thing, Hogan didn't sell WrestleMania. Hogan getting his hands on Piper, Mr. T getting his hands on Piper sold WrestleMania.
Yeah, but I mean, fair is fair, and Hogan and Vince, back in the day, Hulkamania going wild. I mean, it was, it basically like it took wrestling from the high school gyms and put them in sold out arenas all over the
Mhm.
country. So, I'll give Hogan his props. I mean, he's on the Mount Rushmore. Not my favorite Mount Rushmore, but he's on the Mount Rushmore of professional wrestling. I'll be the
Yeah,
first to admit it. Yeah,
if
I'm
you're
not a
talking
fan,
guys that
but
sold tickets, absolutely.
yeah.
I mean, it's no different than I don't have a whole lot. And don't get me wrong, I'm not going to defend this man whatsoever because we've already covered it. But Hogan put asses in seats. I mean, the undercard kept him there, as I already said, and it's a lot like Ric Flair. I could give a rat's ass less about 99% of Ric Flair's matches. Sorry to the Flair fans out there. He did his thing. He was able to cut some promos, but he just wasn't for me.
Yeah, I'll
And
disagree
Hogan
with
and Flair belong on that. We sold tickets, Mount Rushmore. I don't know if Hogan belongs on any other Mount Rushmore. I'm not going to argue about Flair because
Merch
that's
sales.
gonna.
He's on the merch sales Mount Rushmore.
There you go. There you
That's
go.
it.
I mean, and sometimes that's all you got to do is, be at the top of that merch sales sheet and you're going to have good things coming to you. However, you got to be doing something right. In Hogan's case, it was playing a character that he may have bought into, and his true personality has finally broken free, and we're seeing it, and it's not being hidden well anymore. It's just not. And at his age, if you don't want to hide it, don't hide it. Go back to your beach shop, enjoy your retirement, like just stay out of the public eye because wow. And then the next day, WWE announces a sponsorship with his beer. I
It was on
cannot
the ring mat.
imagine.
It was
I
on the
cannot
ring mat.
imagine somebody sitting at home in Stanford going, I did this. I can't wait till we announce it, sees this segment and goes, oh, I fucked up.
Money. Again, money.
Yeah. But now you have this thing on the canvas that nobody wants to give a shit about.
No. Well, then what they will do probably, and again, just my opinion, make him a full heel and see where it can go. Why
It
not?
worked once.
Why not? And maybe he'll strike gold again. Who knows? But man,
Well, I
he's
mean,
got some serious heat, and this can make some serious money, and that's what TKO is all about. So I don't know.
they got to give us something to pay for the prices they're asking for the seats these days. I mean, Jesus Christ. Yeah. Now, so with your Netflix feeds down there in the States, guys, I wanted to get into this. I noticed something cool about mine that I didn't expect. I get on my Netflix NXT and SmackDown. Is that the same down in the States?
No, I get it on NXT's on the CW,
Mm-hmm.
and what was the other one?
SmackDown.
That's on USA Network. So I have to have regular cable or I have DirecTV, and I have to have a couple of streaming services. I have to have Netflix and I have to have Peacock for the pay-per-views. So it's kind of a bummer, but if you want to watch wrestling, that's what you have to do.
Yeah, I mean, and sometimes it's just not worth paying those pay-per-view prices. But my shock was, oh, all three of these are here now. That's why I watched NXT. I went out of my way to get there. Here's the thing I noticed, though, because those are on broadcast TV down in the States, they're not. Raw did a really good job of broadcasting straight through the commercial breaks. You didn't really notice it. The announcers didn't go dead mic and just let you see stuff. They didn't do the picture in picture. They just kept commentating like it was a pay-per-view straight through the full 3 hours. Cool. NXT didn't do that. I haven't had a chance to get too deep into SmackDown yet. When they put the commercial break in there, they would put up a still screen. We'll be right back. And it sat there for like 2.5, 3 minutes.
You don't get ads?
I didn't get ads on my Netflix. Nope.
Oh, no, it was a regular thing for us. I mean, for me anyway. I have the Netflix with ads, and it just felt like I was watching a Raw on the regular channel in better definition. I think Netflix has never looked better, in fact. But
Mm-hmm.
no, it was ads, and I was
Yep.
pissed because like it was a half hour of Raw before we got a match.
Mm-hmm.
Then the Bloodline match happened. 3 minutes into the match, ad. And then they came back to the match for like 3 more minutes, another ad. And me and Jill are just sitting here going, so are we going to actually watch wrestling today, or is it just entertainment? It's the World Entertainment Company.
You know what? I was listening to an old. It was a rebroadcast of Paul Heyman and Edge on Talk Is Jericho, and Heyman was explaining the philosophy back in the day in the early 2000s, 2003, 2004. Raw had the entertainment aspect, and Heyman pulled the talent he pulled and created the SmackDown Six. So the Guerreros, Edge, Ray, Benoit, and Angle, and it was like, you guys are gonna be the entertainment show. We're gonna be the wrestling show, and that worked. I was a much bigger fan of SmackDown at the time. I thought
Yeah.
SmackDown was putting out a far better product, even outside of the SmackDown Six. But I mean, you got six guys and then another roster full of guys they can work with. And Raw was so heavy on story, and it was bad story. And we have that today. If you want to watch the entertainment show, you're watching WWE. If you want to watch the wrestling show, you're tuning into Tony Khan's AEW ROH stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like, am I off base there? You're both nodding along.
I guess I'll start.
Here we go.
Sorry to
Jamal,
all
not
you
entertained.
AEW marks out there. But
I'm here. I'm listening.
No, hey, I watch all the AEW. I'm a fan of AEW, but I am an old school fan. I do like some logical stories. I like some stories that breathe. I like some stories that take some time. Um, I like my wrestling to be a little more realistic. I don't like seeing a pile driver as a transitional move. I don't like seeing pile drivers on metal steps being a transitional move. I don't like to see a Canadian destroyer off the top rope being a transitional move. You know, watching and all the kickouts at 2 after doing your finisher.
Mm-hmm.
I like to see more of a realistic product. I don't, from watching AEW, how many times can you watch flippity flops? How many matches in a row can you watch basically the same match? It's just, if it doesn't mean anything after a while. There's no moments. You remember certain moments going back to your childhood of professional wrestling, but I can't tell you out of like a Will Ospreay and Kyle Fletcher match the moment that happened. I'm sorry. It's constant flippity flop. Transitional moves that should be finishers. You gotta they've always said wrestling is kind of a buffet. You gotta have some comedy, you gotta have some story, you gotta have some blood feuds, whatever. And to me, watching AEW is, and don't get, like I said, I watch it. Sometimes I'll fast forward some of the matches that I'm not really invested in the characters, but AEW killed a lot of the characters that I cared about. I mean, Okada, what they've done with Okada, making him, I mean, it seems like he's improving a little bit with the wrestling more than the character part. But when he came in, being one of my favorites, I just, there's got to be more attention to the booking. There's got to be more attention to the details. Tony Khan books it for Tony Khan, just like Vince McMahon booked it for Vince McMahon, and it became tired after a while. And they need, and no fault of the wrestlers, but if wrestlers are calling their own shots, calling their own moves without getting any guidance, this is what the product that you get. And there's so many things that it could improve on that I hope it does, because sometimes it's just a blur. I don't even remember what happened at Dynamite. I couldn't even tell you what happened at the last Dynamite because it's one big match. So, I think I went a little bit off topic, and I apologize. But
no, that's fine. I mean, get it all out. You made some good points there. I think as fans, we sometimes focus a little too much on the on-screen talent. I think AEW's big problem, and honestly, I think it's an industry-wide problem, is nobody has a Pat Patterson to help things coalesce. Nobody has a guy backstage that's going, whoa, 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 whoa. You guys want to do this in your match? Well, these guys want to do the exact same thing in their match and their match. And so things are sliding through. I don't think Tony Khan has the infrastructure in place to eliminate that and not just keep sending us all back for the same, prime rib at the buffet that we just got a plate full of. He's not there's not a, it's like, no, you've had enough prime rib, go get a piece of chicken, go get some lasagna, go get, it's dessert time, something like that. Alex, you're nodding along to some of this. What are your thoughts here?
I mean, yeah, I'm with Jay. Like, I understand that WWE is not the wrestling show. It's the entertainment show that just so happens to have wrestling on it. Whereas AEW has wrestling on it, and maybe sometimes you'll figure out why they're wrestling in the first place. So they all have their weaknesses, they all have their strengths, and I think it's important for people to realize that there is a flavor for everybody, and it's fine. Like, I will totally tune into the Royal Rumble when we land off the boat because I enjoy that show. But am I going to invest into more entertainment? No. I'm going to go and see the big shows that I will remember.
Yep. I mean, and Chris Herndon chiming in there. Hey, yo, back, buddy. Here's something for you. You said on a previous show you don't consider the Saudi shows canon. How do you feel about next year's Rumble, which is definitely going to be canon in Saudi Arabia? And Jason's shaking his head. I can.
Again, the Saudis pay top dollar for WWE. TKO is about making the most money they could possibly make. I get it.
You know what?
I get it, but I hate it.
I'm not going to put it on TKO because Vince started that shit.
Well, true. But
I mean, that's,
they could have put the Royal Rumble somewhere else, but they chose
anywhere
to
else.
put it in Saudi. Yeah, I mean, it's just doing, like, to me, it's doing business with dirty people. Something that I've not liked from WWE, and I wish it never started. But it is what it is. Like I said, I hate it, but it is what it is. It's all about the money.
They need to tell the prince this time that Yokozuna's still dead, so they don't ask for him for the Royal Rumble.
Absolutely.
I'm never going to forgive them for that.
Yeah, that's there's been some wild stories. One day, there's going to be enough guys that were in the situation that are no longer under contract and no longer have to worry about being chastised, writing books and doing podcasts and doing shoot interviews. We're going to find out exactly what went down on that plane that wasn't allowed to take off. And I cannot wait. I feel that's a dark side of the ring moment episode coming up down the line. I just don't think we're going to get it, or we're going to get the full story for a few more years yet. Jeff here loves having all the opinion. We have to watch pro wrestling. I watch several different ones and definitely see the different styles and storytelling they offer. Absolutely. It's Jamal's wondering how smart everybody is. It's AEW's a charcuterie board. Every wrestling, Pat Patterson used to say about Vince, it's his ice cream store. Sometimes he likes chocolate, sometimes he likes vanilla. What are you gonna do? He owns the store.
Right.
And if you don't like chocolate, maybe you like vanilla. So try AEW. That's gonna come off bad. Thank God this show's not popular enough for me to get clickbaited, because I'll get pulled for that one. But maybe you want something a little spicier for dessert, so you go to Mexico. Maybe you want something, you want some strawberries, so you go down to the New Japan, or you go to the Europe. The internet has created the boom in wrestling, not one person. It's no longer Hulk Hogan. It's no longer John Cena or the Ultimate Warrior or anybody else. We can get whatever content we want. We can roll up to Baskin and Robbins of wrestling and go, I want a scoop of the Tiger ice cream. I want a scoop of cookies and cream. And you can take whatever you want, whenever you want, especially if you're willing to drop some cash on it. He meant for the person that asked for Yokozuna. How do they know he's not dead? Exactly. That's the problem. It's some Saudi prince is like, oh yeah, I remember this guy from back in the day. Clearly a casual fan with cash, right? I mean, let's be honest here. If you're buying a WWE show of that scale, you're probably not worried about if you're going to make the mortgage payment next month, right?
So
Let's
story.
switch gears. We
Before
talked about Hulk Hogan. Oh, Jason's got a comment.
Quick story about the Saudis. So, I'm not saying anything bad about the Saudi people, maybe more of like rich people, but when we did an Italian cruise, or a Mediterranean cruise, sorry, in the summer, and went to Mykonos, one of the Greek islands, and a lot of the rich Saudis come and they have their yachts in the bay, or they rent homes. And I was talking to people, and they would say like the Saudis come and they order like $30,000 bottles of champagne and just crack it open and like pour it over somebody's head. It's like wasting money, like it means nothing to them. And I think that's the same. They think WWE is a hot item. They can get it because they have the money, and they get it because it's we could do it, just like wasting a $30,000 bottle of champagne. So are they wrestling fans? No, of course not. But they could buy it because they could buy it, and that's the mentality. But
and they have that. It's not a finite stream for them. It's not like granted, the Powerball is going to win you a lot of time unless you're really, really bad with money. But it's not like winning the lottery where it's like, okay, well, you have no income coming in, but you have this big lump of cash. They have the big lump of cash and they have the income coming in. So, I mean, let's be honest. If I won the Powerball lottery, I'm doing some stupid shit. And I think we can all say that, right? It's like, yeah, I'm going to do some dumbass shit. Yeah. It's probably going to involve a lot of my friends someplace warm watching wrestling that I may or may not buy from the company. I might pull some Saudi shit, right? But it's the money talks, and it's hard to fathom from us. Like, we're all day jobs. None of us are looking at taking 6 to 8 months off to just sit around a pool. There is a little bit of jealousy factor to it, but at the same time, they're pushing it on the rest of us, which I think was Alex's point a few weeks back when he mentioned that he doesn't consider the Saudi shows canon. I mean, let's be honest. The last match that the Triple H, Kane, and Shawn Michaels had was hot fucking garbage in that tag match.
That's what they wanted. They ordered a clown, and WWE sent them a clown.
Yeah, I mean, and I don't know who decided. It's like, we want Goldberg versus The Undertaker. Fuck you. You just about killed The Undertaker. Like, why? Let's move on. We're getting a little heated here, and we're kind of skirting that line of we're talking rich people doing dumb shit, but let's be honest here. There's other context that could be taken from that. We're not intending it that way. It's rich people doing dumb shit. Hulk Hogan is probably the second most hated man in wrestling at this point. Jamal, if he won the Powerball, he's giving millions to charity. I can't exactly. Take care of my people, throw a big ass party, make sure I'm cool until my time is up. But yeah, there's places and people that need it. Like, make sure you're sorted out, help out who you can help out after that. I like Jamal's mindset there. Let's get into the most hated man in professional wrestling right now. Vince McMahon has made no. For those of you that are listening and not watching the live stream or checking us out on YouTube, Jason just did the you can't see me move. No, we will get there. Vince McMahon has made some news. It's over. He put out it was, I believe, intentionally vague that he was cleared of some charges, or that he agreed to the penalties. What those penalties were is he was going to pay $1.7 million in relation to charges that were filed in regards to him not disclosing hush money payments.
Accounting error.
He is going to pay $400,000 civil penalty. and approximately 1.3 million back to the WWE in relation to, I think it was somewhere in the 10 to 20 million dollar range in hush money. Now, a lot of people were like, that's all he's getting away with. No, because this is not related to the lawsuit filed by Janelle Grant. I think Vince got off light on the hush money. I agree with Jamal. Accounting error, my ass. This came up in a group chat. I believe Alex was asking people to check obituaries to see who suddenly passed away. I suggested maybe we check the retirement announcements and see who's suddenly buying themselves a Greek island. Vince McMahon got off on what is clearly the lesser of the two charges, and it's a small statement. It's not like a big push. I think he got off light. What do you think, guys?
Duh. I mean,
money makes everything go away.
It's pennies. It's pennies to him.
Mhm.
What is? How many billions of dollars is he worth? 4 or 5? I mean, I don't even know. I'm guessing 4 billion. It's pennies.
I mean,
it's like a
if it's
tip.
worth one.
It's a
Even if
tip.
it's just worth one. I mean,
Yeah.
I remember going to court disputing a what I felt should have been a warning for having a headline out that I didn't realize, and the judge went, "Well, I can't make it go away because you admit that it was out." I was like, "Yeah, but I didn't know." The cop that was involved admitted in court. It was my second shift. I was learning how to fill out the ticket book. Judge's like, "I can't make it go away because you admit it's out. You got $20 on you?" I went, "Yeah." That's exactly what this seems like to me. The judge like, you okay? We've got all this. You've got all this. You've said your piece. Like, look, you got this in your wallet? And he just went, I mean, sure. I got some loose change, pal. And went to the window, paid his fine, and walked away. However, there's a few people I've seen online outraged. Like, that's all he's getting for this? No. He is still in a lot of trouble. We have not heard of a federal case coming down, even though we did hear that the feds did ask Janelle Grant to back off just a hair and not push for immediate trial because they were working on something. He took a slap on the wrist for this one. I think he's still in hot water. I think jail time's coming this man's way. Jason's shaking his head. He's got a thought. Let's go.
No, because, okay, this is, again, my opinion. Trump is going to be in office. Linda McMahon works for Trump. This will go away. He's going to pay Janelle Grant $500 million to shut up, and this will all go away. And that will be the end of the story. I'm sorry. Janelle Grant's attorneys are beating the drum constantly in the media, just trying to get, make sure it stays in the news. It's all for money. She's going to get a huge chunk of change. And again, it's going to mean nothing to Vince. But, Vince wanting to defend himself, bullshit. This will all go away. He's going to pay her and end the story. I'm sorry. That's my opinion.
Yeah, I can't disagree with you. I honestly, I hadn't really thought too far ahead. Jamal, also on your side. I hadn't thought
Jamal's
of the angle of having Linda in office. However, they're not together, so this could be an interesting.
She doesn't want revenge.
Right. Billionaires don't go to prison. If they do, they end up hanging by their own shoelace, and nobody's quite sure how they did that to themselves. Not going to drop any names there, but we all know what I'm referring to. This could be an interesting point. Like, how bitter is Linda after Vince's bullshit? Because Jason there's a solid path there. There is a storyline where that exactly happens, where it's like, yeah, no, my ex-wife got me off, not in the way she used to, but she got me off. Or is it, oh shit, she's pissed and has leverage now?
All right. Well, here's why I disagree.
Okay.
They have children together. They have grandchildren together. How do you want to explain to your grandchild, oh, grandpa has to go to jail because he, shit on Janelle Grant's head? I mean, it's not going to happen. I'm sorry. It's going to go away. you know, it's still the McMahon name. They share children and grandchildren together. It's going to go away.
I don't think you
You
want
know,
to explain to your grandchildren that
you could
entire
lie,
story.
Jason. You could lie. You could make something up that's more fun to say, and not as
Yeah,
well. You know,
I don't think anybody wants to explain to grandchildren why grandpa's in trouble. It's like, you did what? That's a thing?
no, you tell the grandkid, you know, he stole Santa's sleigh or something outrageous like that instead.
Yeah, I
When
mean,
the
that's
grandkid gets old though and starts reading the internet and seeing what Vince
well,
McMahon allegations.
and some of those grandchildrens are in college. Let's not forget Shane's kids are older. I've lost track of where Triple H and Stephanie's kids are age-wise, but I mean, I don't think he's got grandchildren that are unable to access the internet at this point. So,
Well, he should have thought of that then.
yeah, I mean, Jeff and Jamal are the exact same. Jason is not wrong. No, he is not. Money makes the world go round. Absolutely does. And I wish it would just spin a little bit more in the favor of the good people sometimes. You know what I mean? I'm looking at all this news out of Los Angeles, and most of what I'm seeing is this celebrity's home is gone. This celebrity's home is gone. It's like, and not to get off on a rant on this, but like, I'm pretty sure they're going to be okay even if they're not insured. Tell me about the family up the street that doesn't have insurance and doesn't have your bank account, and this billionaire bullshit that we're constantly seeing. If Vince doesn't see the inside of a jail cell, it wouldn't surprise me. I think he needs to, as an example to the American people, of money cannot buy you out of when you've done this vile shit. I mean, we're looking at the Me Too age of Weinstein and everybody like that is getting, and for Vince to walk on this, if that doesn't turn people against certain people in charge of the country, I don't know what would. All right, let's we're almost close to an hour. We've only hit 2 of my topics here that I wanted to cover because we've had some excellent rants and some excellent points, boys. This has been fantastic for me. I want to thank you both for joining. Jason, I want you to wake up mad every time we do this show. I will call your wife. I will have her just fucking punt kick you straight in the uprights right before we go on the show. I believe that she would do it for cheap, just because I mean, I've seen you two together and be like, yeah, no, he asked me to do this. And that's fair because you know my people too. And they would down to the cat, all of the kids, they were like, you need me to, I will handle that for you. Let's get into some of the talent that have made some waves lately. One name you've already mentioned, Jason, but we're going to get to him just because I am baffled as to why he's working where he's working right now. Biggest top of my list right now that I want to talk about, Becky Lynch has reportedly re-signed with the WWE. How do you guys feel about this? I'm excited personally. I'm a big Becky fan. Becky Lynch coming back. I don't think anybody thought it wouldn't happen. I don't think anybody thought she was going to be jumping companies, but the man, what are you thinking?
I'd like to see a little tweak on the character, though. I've seen the man for a long time now. Let's do maybe a little tweak. But yeah, I mean, how can you not be excited? You know, super uber talented. You know, just curious where they'll put her in the card, right at the top or in the middle.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm actually kind of indifferent. Maybe because I saw it coming. Maybe I'm not surprised, so I don't really care too much. But like, what I will care about is if they shoehorn her in there and push everybody back down the ladder of like, the man's back in town, everyone, let's get in line to beat on the man. No, I want new. I always want new. I want to see somebody come up from somewhere and not just somebody come back and now everyone goes back to the line. So I'm not surprised. I'm whatever. We'll see where it goes. If she shows up and wins the Rumble, I'll be pissed.
You know what? I can agree with that. I think there is a good case for talent disappearing for a while and coming back and not necessarily landing back in their spot. Let's go back to, 1996. Bret Hart leaves after WrestleMania, drops the title to Shawn. He's gone. He's doing his thing. He finally comes back. He doesn't jump back into the title picture right away. He, gets into it. He's like, I want to work with Stone Cold. And that was, Austin 316 had just happened in, I believe, June of that year, July. And so he's like, no, he's hot. He is a great worker. It was pre-neck injury. And Brett's like, I'm going to start with this. Be a featured player. You don't need to be in the main event. Undertaker, absolute textbook case of doesn't always need to be in the main event, but he is selling tickets. We put him on the card. If a talent can take that step back from the title picture and elevate others, even if they're going over, because as we all know, it's not who goes over, it's who gets over. If Becky can come out and elevate other talent out there and then get into a position where, the Livs, the Rheas, which we've already kind of seen, the Tiffany Strattons are like, yeah, Becky's busy over there. Then it's like, oh, shit, Becky's right in my face now. Elevate that talent. A lot of people like, oh, AEW bound. No, I think she's going to take, I called it on this show. Go back in the archives about a year. I think she took some time off to just be mom.
Yep.
And that was called out on Raw. I'm going to give credit for that comment being a legitimate comment. It's like, yeah, she went home to be mom for a little while, because it is an unfortunate fact of biology. Female talent, if they want to have a family, they're not going to be able to do it the same way the guys do. They have to take the time off. That's all there is to it. They can come back right after they give birth or whatever, but they're going to need to take 6 to 8 months off just to deal with the pregnancy and get back into shape. I kind of feel for them. I kind of feel that there's a lot of talent that would struggle with that. It's a question I've often wanted to ask female talent when I've run into them and had the opportunity to have a chat, which is 100% always on the boat. But it's an awkward thing to bring up.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm glad Becky's back. As far as Jason's comment of I'd like to see something a little different, I'd like to see her roll her back to when she was wearing that Kill Bill style outfit and just be a badass. Just put on the yellow and black, and just, we don't need the Seth Rollins influence fashion statement.
Speaking of yellow and black, it'd be really cool if she showed up to NXT and messed some people up.
That's an excellent starting point. I like that. Start from the bottom and work your way back up.
Just all of a sudden, during an NXT episode, just the steam comes out of the stage and she comes out of the steam. What?
Jason, you're making faces there. How do you feel about that little bit of booking? Starter right at the bottom at NXT, and that's a little unfair of me to say, but it's the development brand, right?
Hey,
so Starter,
that's a story we've really never seen before. A top star saying, hey, I've taken X amount of time off, and I feel like I should start from from the beginning and start at the bottom and work my way back up to the main roster, or whatever story you want to tell. That's not a bad idea.
Yeah, I really enjoy that, and that's what cheap seat booking is all about. These ideas come out of us. Dean is agreeing. I've been the man. Now it's time to be the woman, the best woman, then fight everyone else in the division before even sniffing the belt. Absolutely. Jeff agrees as well. That'd be a really cool storyline. Okay, here we go. I'm going to get both of y'all real pissed off. John Cena 2025 retirement tour. Alex, you can start because I read your rant the other day in this discussion.
I'm so done with him. I mean, when he said the last time is now, I cheered so hard in this room that it's finally over. I finally waited. It's been 25 years in the making, longest 25 years of my life. Make him go off my television screen. I'm so excited. But the same goes for him too. If he wins the Royal Rumble, I'm gonna be pissed. He doesn't need the Rumble win. He needs to elevate somebody else to give the Rumble win. He doesn't need the 17th title belt. Just no, we don't do that anymore. We're not going to show up and win a title and then sail into the sunset. No, he's not Sting. He doesn't get everything he wants. Go away.
Jason, you got a big old grin on your face, and I know you've had some words about Mr. Cena in the past, so let fly.
I'll quote Motley Crue on this one. John, don't go away mad. John, just go away. I mean, I can't really add much more to what Alex said, but to just even sniff breaking Ric Flair's record of world championships is just so offensive to me. I just want to vomit. I mean, the guy, oh God. I am not a fan. I just want him to go. I could spew venom for the next 10 minutes, which you probably would love, but I just want him to go. I'm so sick of that character pandering to these 3 and 4-year-olds. My God, just go away already. He adds nothing. I don't know how anybody over 5 years old could be a fan wearing those stupid shorts and that freaking whatever rag he brings to the ring. Ugh. But I will say, for a humanitarian doing all the make a wish. I mean, kudos to him for doing that, but just go away.
No, he's a kiss ass. Stop it. No, he's a kiss ass. He kissed everyone's ass. He got 16 rewards for it, and it's way too many. I'm so over this. I turned off the product actually when he won his first world title. I was like, I am done with this. And I stopped watching for like 6 years. And I was like, is he gone yet? I came back 6 years later. Is he gone yet? I was like, no. Now we have Bryan Danielson winning all the things. I'm like, oh my God.
But and you want to talk about a Fugazi. And for those people who don't know what a Fugazi is, and it's an Italian slang word for fake, might be a real Italian word, but he is not an authentic person. He's either goofy or he's like yo yo yo, and it's like just pick one and kiss ass, like Alex said. My God, like just if you ever see him on interviews, just the biggest fucking kiss ass. Just no opinion Cena. It's just go away. I'm sick of the act. It's so not authentic. I just can't stand them. Just go away. Thank you.
Okay, so Jason, how much gas do you have in the car? Just real quick. I just want to know how much time I have before you show up to punch me in the face. I'm gonna go the opposite here. It was gonna piss off a lot of people. I mean, Jeff says no 17th title, and he tried to see him retire. That's fucking funny. Do it. They put that fucking title on Goldberg, and he is the most useless piece of shit that's ever entered the wrestling business and made it to the world title scene. Absolute, like, if they can give it to Goldberg for a couple of months, and I'm not saying put it on Cena's for like let's go between the big shows. Like let's do like a spring couple of month thing here, or maybe a month. Do like when Hogan won the undisputed belt. It's like, yeah, you can have this now, but we're taking it away in 3 weeks. Let him break Flair's record. I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck if he breaks Flair's record. I'd be okay with it. I want to see him get his flowers. I am not a huge Cena fan. I know that the preamble to this would indicate that I got a bunch of fruity pebbles in my closet, but I don't. I think he was mid at best. I understand both sides of the argument. I just think he put that company on his back, and with the help of his opponents, primarily being Randy Orton and Edge for many years, those three, swapping titles back and forth, big business. He deserves as much as Hogan and Flair deserve the credit for, as Alex put it, t-shirt sales and putting asses in seats. I think Cena deserves the exact same credit. Let's see a cavalcade of the best he can do. Let's see a mix of guys he's battled before, which I'm looking at Orton because I think he's about the only one left. I don't think Edge is going to come back in the next year to get that one off. But, it'd be cool if the Forbidden Door opened. I would see that. And then find the right opponent. Do not, and this is, I like Baron Corbin, but don't fucking Kurt Angle the last moment. Like, let Gretzky have his last skate. You know what I mean? We don't need to see him in the main event or WrestleMania or Royal Rumble or whatever he's doing, but like a definite mid-card highlight match against somebody that meant something. Angle got done fucking dirty. And if you listen to the latest Talk Is Jericho podcast with Kurt Angle on it, even Kurt's like, I wanted to go one more year, but Vince says, no, we're doing it this year. And it's even Kurt has nothing bad to say about Corbin. Corbin was doing really well at the time. And it just, for whatever reason, he picked up a wobble, whether it was backstage, whether it was politics, whether he pissed somebody off. We won't know for a while yet because, books won't be written for decades. But give Cena his flowers, let him break for his record. I'm old DDR Tony Riccadelli is going to kill me for saying that. You guys, Jason is looking for his keys right now. I can tell.
Well, what I'd like to happen is if he does win it, I'd like to see Ric Flair show up, take that fucking spinner belt, and shove it up Cena's ass.
Oh yeah, no, don't bring back the spinner belt. Don't
that fucking spinner belt. That was the start of it.
It was. It really was. Like, don't you dare disparage the belts. No, it was bad.
The spinner belt was bad. That was, and I've been a pretty big opponent of most wrestling belts these days are ugly. That spinner belt is all-time top-notch, ugliest fucking thing ever. And they kept it around for so long. Dean Midgley over in the UK, he can't say he'd be excited for a Cena Orton match. I don't know, excited, but again. I would definitely consider it be a nice little run back because I think Orton's the last real opponent Cena has nostalgia-wise in the company. Other than that, they gotta find some good opponents for him to round out this year, like make it mean something. Go, Alex.
I have one. It's hilarious. It's something that I think he deserves. John Cena versus Truth.
Yes.
Truth versus his childhood hero, John Cena, for the 17th World Championship. And then Truth wins the world title off of John Cena. Let's go.
I fully endorse this.
It's so much
Our
fun.
Truth is a treasure. I absolutely love it. Okay, we're just a hair over time, so I want to drop a couple more names. We're going to switch companies here. Kenny Omega is back in AEW. I'm a big old 2 on the Randy Marsh scale of enjoyment. How do you guys feel? Omega is back finally after a little over a year. He's got Dean agrees with Alex. He's in, but yeah, Omega's back. This is the guy that the AEW fans have been salivating over. I don't know if maybe I just haven't seen his best stuff, but he has never landed for me. He's a solid worker. I can't tell you he's a bad worker. I fucking hate his tagline. I think it is long and awkward. It is like trying to move a fucking box spring mattress by yourself. Omega's back. Jason, what do you think?
Yeah, I'll disagree with you. I mean, come on, he's one of the best wrestlers of in-ring probably of all time. You could definitely put him up in top 5. I just don't understand. He comes back after a year and he wrestles for New Japan. I don't understand that. Why not put him on? And I know the ties to New Japan. I get all that, but and maybe it was what Omega wanted to do. But my God, I mean, he's under AEW contract. Bring him back in AEW. I just don't understand that. And the promo was pretty good on Dynamite. It seemed authentic. I mean, obviously the guy almost died. I mean, how horrible is that? So, how could you not get behind him? I mean, through his health struggles and getting back to being a wrestler again, getting back in ring. So, I'm curious where this goes.
Yeah, I'm pro all of those things. I believe Omega is on record saying he wanted to come back to New Japan. I'm hoping somebody in AEW, Tony Khan maybe, was smart enough to go, okay, we'll give you his return match, but we need something back down the line, especially with that Dallas, Texas show coming up where they're going to try and fill the Texas stadium. So they're going to need some names. Alex, what do you think?
I'm happy as hell that he is healthy again, number one. Like, I thought I did think maybe he might never come back. But when I heard that he will come back, that's awesome. To fight Jason's argument, he came back to the largest Japan show of the year. That's their WrestleMania. If you're going to come back to any Japanese show, it would be that one. However, I feel like they dropped the ball with this Death Riders thing, with them, smothering AEW. AEW needed a hero, and I thought that was going to be Kenny Omega's theme song hit, and he was going to save us from the Death Riders in AEW, and that's not seeming to happen because now he's got a random match against Brian Cage on Wednesday. So, am I excited? Yes. Did they drop the ball on his return to AEW? Absolutely.
Yep. I mean, I think all I can say is you got a solid point. It was the biggest show NJPW has. So hopefully somebody with some clout said, we can work this out, but we got a really big show in, what is it, like July or August?
Yeah, somewhere in there.
It's almost like dealing with the mafia. It's like, you know what? You're going to owe us a favor. You know what I mean? You're going to owe us a favor.
Down the line.
That's
so
terrible.
That's all
terrible
we can
accent. Terrible.
Canadian.
Oof.
Look, Winnipeg has produced Roddy Piper and Chris Jericho as well, okay? Granted, it's fucking Manitoba. But they did 3 things, right? Granted, they also produced Don Callis. So let's just take that for what it will. Dean's also kind of on page with me. He's never really resonated with Omega. His matches are great, but he never thought he was cool. I think I'm not disputing his work rate. He is a great worker. You can put him in there and it's going to be a good match. I was a big fan of his tag team with Hangman Page. I thought they did a great job. I'm not going to be like, Omega's on TV and change it, because especially if you throw him in there with, the top tier guys, it's going to be a good match. It's just, I don't know if I'm going to get into Omega as the guy beyond this is going to be a solid match. And his new theme song is fucking hot garbage to me. Just terrible.
Because you're not
okay,
a weeb.
Last name. Jason brought this up. We got we're just a hair over what I was aiming at, but frankly, we're kind of on cheap seat booking time, which is just going over an hour. It's WrestleMania 12 rules. You know what I'm saying? Kazuchika Okada. Holy shit, was I expecting some more out of this kid this year. I have on good authority that he is a good dude. He is a really good human being. We have a mutual friend in common that has said nothing but good things about him. I don't know if, and granted, I don't think I bought a pay-per-view from AEW in 2024 aside from Sting's last match. I don't know if I'm seeing the best of him on TV or on pay-per-view yet. I'm not seeing that Okada from the couple of Japanese matches that I did manage to pull up on YouTube and watch as over the last couple of years. What do you guys, Jason, you mentioned him before. Go. I can see the look on your face.
Again, it goes back to the booking. It goes back to who's booking AEW. You brought in Mercedes Moné. You brought in Okada, Will Ospreay. I mean, I just you need to book them better. You just need to book them better. You need to give fans a reason to care about them, because if you don't, you just wasted all these millions of dollars. I mean, Okada is basically one notch above being another regular guy that they brought in, and it's really sad to see. It's kind of like when Shinsuke Nakamura, he was one of my favorite wrestlers at the time. And my God, coming off that match with Sami Zayn, and that's actually on, hopefully when we do part 2 of best wrestling matches, that's kind of my honorable mention. But
yeah, I got that slated for after we all get back from Miami.
Right. But my God, I mean, the fanfare, and then bringing him to the main roster, and then fucking having him job to Jinder fucking Mahal. My God, I mean, what they did with Shinsuke was heartbreaking. And it's kind of like what I'm seeing with Okada right now. And it's very, very unfortunate. I mean, AEW's got so much freaking talent, but God damn it, bring in a fucking competent booker. And I only say this not because, again, I still like the program. I watch it. I'm a fan, but we say this because we care. We love wrestling and we want it to succeed. But please, man, bring in a booker. AEW. If anybody could pass this on to Tony Khan, because I'm sure he'll listen to me right now, but they just bring in a booker.
And I know we've seen Tony Khan on deck of the Jericho Cruise. It's not out of the realm of possibility. I just I don't
I'll
know if
yell
we're
it at
going to
him.
start listening to a bunch of people that got the fucking drink package, but I think you have a good point. When you compared him to Shinsuke, Alex lies lit up, and I agree. WWE has a history of, and I don't say doing them dirty, but maybe not highlighting the foreign talent in the best manner. I mean, we can go back decades to that. Shinsuke, yeah, absolutely. Just we're not seeing his best. And I think Shinsuke is kind of a victim of who's currently at the driving position in WWE, who's piloting the ship. You've seen his waves. He's up, he's down, he's up, he's down, and all of the up periods have the same three letters in common: H, H, H. I'm digging his gimmick. I hope he does it. I want to see more out of Okada too. And I think AEW, there was that hope because Tony is such a match guy. He books like it's a video game. I'm not going to fault him with that because he's giving us some pretty fun shit to watch, despite the fact that we don't always register it because it's the same as the other four matches on the card. Like I want to see more out of Okada. I think he's got a nice little Rainmaker clothesline. I like that. It kind of reminds me of a cross between Jake the Snake's setup for the DDT and the clothesline from hell. Alex, you're nodding along. You said Shinsuke. You lost your mind. Close us out. Give us your thoughts on Mr. Okada.
So I think, I'll take a point from both of you guys. Matt, the problem with all these foreign dudes, I think, is that everyone is just like, if you can't cut a promo, you're not going to cut it here. And unfortunately, Shinsuke doesn't speak great English, and I feel like that's what they, I guess, what's the word for that? Threw him down the ladder because he can't shoot the promo. So on the other side, that's, what's happening with Okada. He can't really do the best English promo either. And with the elite and everything, he could have just been that third, fourth guy. But then he's the biggest elite guy, so I thought he was going to be the enforcer dude or something. Like if the elite, if the Young Bucks need a bigger dude to clothesline the shit out of somebody, you call in Okada. But then to Jason's point, what's happening in AEW is Okada's their $30,000 bottle of champagne. Tony Khan wanted Okada. He got Okada. Does he know what to do with him? Absolutely not. He's gonna pour the champagne over some dude's face and say, "Ha, I got him." But what have we done with him? Nothing. So like now, to Matt's point, like we have the hope. He succeeded in the Continental Classic. He proved he can do, the long tournament battles, and that was a fun showcase of him. And I'm hopeful, I'm cautiously optimistic that they're going to keep going in this trajectory, at least until Young Bucks come back, and then I feel like he's going to take another back seat to them when they do.
Yeah, I mean, you got all solid points here. I think we're all on the same page where we want to see better. Dean's making a good point. That's when you need a good manager to do the talking. A lack of managers in this day and age is problematic. We're seeing a lot of that language barrier hinder talent. Like, thank God Alex Abrahantes was there for the Lucha Brothers, right? I mean, they had something.
I mean, my two favorite words during that whole segment was Penta says, and I'm like, here we go. He's gonna say some crazy shit because Penta says.
I mean, I like what WWE does with Shinsuke, where they do the subtitles when they do the backstage. That doesn't work for a live promo in the ring, though. There's so many English as a second language talent out there, and it's never been a shortage. It's just we need some of these guys. Roman Reigns is a good enough promo on his own. Is there a better use of Paul Heyman? You know what I mean? There are guys out there that can cut Eddie Kingston. Holy shit, he's out with a knee thing. He was the fifth name on my list, but we're not going to get to him this week because I had a wonderful comment pop up in my feed to something I had said on the Cruising with Kayfabe about what to do with Eddie's return. But there are guys that can cut these promos, and in Eddie's case, he's out injured. Why can't we have them help an Okada, help a Lucha Brothers, help a Shinsuke. There's so many talent out there, and it doesn't even necessarily need to be, ESL talent. Some people just have no idea how to cut a fucking promo, and just the red light goes on and their mouth doesn't work,
Ricochet.
and that's with the glory days of managers like JJ Dillon and Missy Hyatt, Heenan, Jimmy Hart, guys that could help these not promo inclined for whatever reason talent is gone, and it is a fucking shame. It really is. I mean, Harley Race helping Vader out back in the day. I think I want to see more out of Okada. Give him a mouthpiece, because flipping off whoever's in front of him and calling him a bitch, that's not selling a pay-per-view to me. It might work
for like
once.
a month.
Again, go ahead.
It worked for like a month. Like, we got a good laugh out of it the first few times. But yeah, you need to elevate it somehow.
Yeah. Jason?
But again, it goes back to the booking. Why should we care about Okada? What is the story? It's great to throw out. I mean, you wasted a match, Ospreay against Okada. Why waste all these big matches? Give us a story behind it. Give us a reason to care. Give us a reason to get invested in Okada. And they've done nothing. They bring in all these big names. There's no reason to invest in them. They're just another name now. They're just another wrestler. Give us a fucking reason to care. And that's what I implore to fucking Tony Khan, because we care about these guys. Give us a reason to care.
Agreed. Make me care. Make me care about the match in the ring. Because when I look back at my favorite matches of all time, I cared about Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels. I wanted to see who was going to get the most falls. I cared about, Shawn versus The Undertaker. I wanted to see if this little guy that I've been following since he was a tag team could take out the big dude. And I don't mean WrestleMania 25. I'm going back to Ground Zero 1997. You know what I mean? Like, give us a reason to care. You guys get it. I want to thank everybody for joining us. You two especially. It is always a pleasure to talk to you. I am going to put a lot more Tabasco on Jason's seat for the next time we do this podcast, because the red ass Jason was fantastic. Alex got some venom out himself, the Philly kid. Go Boyds. It might have been more of a Brooklyn accent. I don't know what you East Coast people do. I'm a Canadian kid. And thanks everybody for joining us. The comment, Dean, Jeff, Gemma, everybody, Jamal that jumps in here. Please remember to like and subscribe to Cheap Seat Booking Facebook page. It's going to help get the live stream moved over, as I need a few more followers to do that. But also remember the At the End Studios page, where you are probably watching this, or the YouTube page, which also feeds to that. I have more projects in the works. It's just nothing's going to come to fruition until after I'm back from the cruise. I'm still working on that. It's January, just sucks for me. And for those watching live, you can see the ticker down there. Remember to check out our friends as well. We got some podcasts. We have some wonderful people doing some wonderful things. Cruising with Kayfabe. Check out Marriage on the Rocks from some other cruisers out of Oklahoma. Wonderful little page, non-wrestling related. It's all relationship stuff. It's some good tips there. Check out Mandatory Music from the boys that were doing At the End, Mike and Seb with me. And Caddy Chat and Sabu Speaks with DDR himself and the legendary Sabu. We will be back. I want to come back and do this in the next 2 weeks. I really do. I'm enjoying this. I want to try to get this done, and we will see everybody on the Jericho fucking cruise. God, I can't wait. I don't give a shit if no talent gets on board. I don't give a shit. I get to see my friends, and we'll just drink.
We'll get in the ring.
If it happens to be set up, then we are going to try this at home. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. We appreciate you. We love you, and we will see you in 2 weeks. No, a week. A week. Damn it. I got to get back on my new schedule. I said that, but I haven't miswrote 2025 yet.